Welcome to the Ingram Microcloud Monthly Podcast. We are all Microsoft SureStep BDMs working across the Microsoft Cloud stack. My name is Martyn Hall, and I will allow my colleagues to introduce themselves now.
My name is Nicola Miller. I am the Business Development Manager for Modern Workplace for the SureStep team.
And my name's Mike Markey. I'm also one of the Business Development Managers at Ingram Micro on the SureStep team.
Excellent. Nicola, why don't you tell everyone listening a bit about SureStep as well?
Sure. So if you've not heard it already, the SureStep team is a global program brought to you from Microsoft. The team within Ingram consists of 4 members. We have one missing today. He didn't want to come out and play, I don't think. So Steve Gray is missing, but Steve looks after the Azure side. Obviously, we have Martyn, the very soft tones of Martyn, who looks after Dynamics. And then you have myself and Mike, who look after the Modern Workplace. And essentially, our role is here to help enable partners by supporting them through the Microsoft journey. And we act in a parachute motion, dropping in not only to support with sales opportunities, but we can also help deliver training and enable you to be more efficient to sell more.
Excellent. So this month we are covering off a shared topic of better together. We're taking full advantage of our lack of Steve Gray to talk about modern work and dynamics together, and we will cover off the community call updates. But first off, before we cover off some of the better together pieces, I'm going to just tee up Mike to talk through a CDX issue and a potential fix for it.
Brilliant. Cheers, Martyn. So there is a tool available in Microsoft as part of your benefits, which you can find on transform.microsoft.com. And it's the customer demo experience. Now, there's been a lot of updates to this tool over the past couple of weeks. And with that, some permissions need to be re-accepted. And what we've found while speaking to yourselves is actually that a lot of you are getting the not authorized as a Microsoft partner to access this relevant tool. So we've actually found a fix, and it was last night when we found this fix. So we're really excited to bring it to you. So we would need your global admin to essentially clear their cache and re-accept these terms and permissions on your behalf, so then your entire company can go back in and start utilizing the tools, such as the customer demo experience tool, the value calculator, the business workshop tool, and there's a couple of other tools in there as well, but really, really powerful, and I'd recommend absolutely using it. If you are finding those issues, we do have those links available for yourselves to go and click through and follow the steps that are actually there. So by all means, reach out to Martyn, Nicola, or myself, and we'll absolutely help you through and get you going again.
I think it's also, if you do want to know more about CDX or the Transform, definitely reach out to us as well, because there's so much good content and collateral and workshops and stuff along those lines on there. It's definitely one to, if you're looking for dummy tenants or anything along those lines, really, really good pieces of workshops to use. I'm losing my words. It's not a good start today, is it?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of collateral there on the Dynamics front and the Power Platform front. There's guided demonstrations as well, little click-throughs. It's essentially HTML pages with screenshots, but it clicks through and it's really good for explaining different things to your end customers. But yeah, we advocate using that tool an awful lot with your end customers. And if you have been experiencing these issues, reach out. We've got all the details we can share with you on how to get that fixed. Cool. Well, better together as a messaging is all about M365 and Dynamics 365 being a sort of a one message, one piece together campaign. And we're not going to talk about it as a whole. I think what we're going to talk about is throughout our community call updates, just tying them together, both M365 and Dynamics, because that's essentially what it is. So, do you want to kick off the Modern Work community call?
Yeah. Do you want to start, Nicola, or would you like me to start?
Sure. No, I think there's you can never start a Modern Workplace call without some statistics. I think we're such a fuel of statistics these days.
Are we playing a guessing game on stats now?
Well, so this one's a little bit different. So essentially, Microsoft surveyed 30,000 people, and it's understanding the hybrid working and really looking at the indicators of going forward through this year in terms of, in terms of employees' mindset. What do they want to do? So there's some of the statistics that are on here. So, I mean, we can play a guessing game. So what percentage do you think would be considering leaving their employer this year?
No, I know the statistic, so I won't cheat. So
I'd say it's about a third. Is this if they don't offer hybrid working?
It was more, yeah. So it's more in terms of they don't offer the hybrid working piece. In terms of who would leave because of it?
I'd probably guess about a third.
Well, you're not too far off. So it's 41%. So which I think it's a high number considering if we think about pandemics, people want job security, given, how much unemployment we had last year. I mean, that's quite a high number considering most people would be even grateful for being in a role. I think if everyone's knows somebody that's been affected by what's happened. So I was quite surprised actually how high it was, if I'm being honest with you. But we do have another statistic as well, because obviously we can't just stay at one. So in terms of 46% are likely to move because they want hybrid working. So that's looking at actually they want to have that piece of where they can work in the office but also work remotely. And I think what the whole pandemic's done is actually given people the flavour of what it's like not to work in an office as such. So they didn't know what they didn't know before, but now they know what they didn't know, if you know what I mean. So in that sense, it's certainly interesting where people's mindsets are going to, where they actually there's more demand for that hybrid working setup. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds, working in an office, but equally having that time at home and having that work-life balance that we all sort of strategically go along this path of trying to making sure our work-life balance works. And 46% of people look like they're going to move because they want that work-life balance and have that ability to work remotely.
So what I do think's really interesting on the back of the kind of everyone before the pandemic was stuck in the office or field work, depending on, but you were strict to that line. We then all got forced into remote working because all the offices were closed down temporarily. With everyone moving hybrid work, and now people's mindsets are starting to kind of move into, I'm not looking for a job within my local city or within that commute area. The talent pools now for organisations have become essentially global, because you, Martyn, could be sat in Wales and you could be working for a company in Germany and still doing that same job as if you were sat in the office in Germany, because of the remote working piece now and with that hybrid environment. So yeah, so what are your thoughts on the hybrid working piece?
It's only a positive, really, isn't it? If you think about it now, slightly divulging from a Microsoft call, but in terms of the economy in general and business in general in the UK, it's been very centralised around London, and London was the city that attracted all of this talent. And now it doesn't have to be London. It could be Aberystwyth. It could be St Ives. It could be blooming Glasgow. Who knows? You can have talent from all across the UK working for any UK organisation, potentially any worldwide organisation, and that means that businesses are going to be looking at a very diverse workforce and attracting the very best talent.
I think it's talking to a lot of the partners that we have in London. There's a lot of people that are moving out. They're either keeping a very small office, downscaling their offices in London, or actually getting rid full stop. So there's a lot of movement, obviously prime property, prime prices. So if they don't need to have it and people are more happy to work from home, I think we'll end up with more of offices that become a lot smaller, more hot desks essentially. So, you don't have this is my desk and get off of it. It will be a case of people will be working in the office a couple of days a week, 3 days a week. And it all depends on people's personal situations as well.
Yeah, I did actually hear not too long ago around the collaborative workspaces, the collaborative offices in terms of Regis buildings that were kind of flourishing many years ago. There's talks of majority of those coming back into play with people needing to, as you say, Nicola, go into somewhere just for that connection to hot desk for a couple of hours, and then off they go again. So yeah, I think it's only positive, really.
Good. So on the next thing that we had is about on-prem server exchange vulnerabilities. So Mike, do you want to take us through that?
Yeah, so towards the back end of March, there was a hack that was it mainly targeted on-prem exchange servers. So with regards to that, many of yourselves as partners have kind of reacted to this, and a lot of them are already kind of corrected or fixed in those instances. But Microsoft have now actually released a one-click tool which will automatically mitigate any of those vulnerabilities. There is a study that's being performed, and there is another statistic that we're going to bring to you today. So Martyn, I'm going to give you this one again. How of the known worldwide exchange IPs that were actually in this kind of instance, how many of those do you think are patched or mitigated?
I'd love to say 100%, but you're going to tell me it's not 100%.
You're very close, though.
Am I?
Yes. So we're currently, Microsoft are currently at 92% at the moment of known attacks, and yeah, it's brilliant. So with that one-click tool, it's pop it onto the server, click to run kind of thing, and yeah, you'll automatically mitigating any of those vulnerabilities that are actually in those servers. So yeah, I think it's really, really positive news.
High percentage, 92.
Yeah. And to react so quick within 2 weeks worth of the attack being on. So yeah, it's really, really
I think
positive.
that just shows the power of Microsoft, where literally with that reaction time is so quick from them, because I haven't got stats in front of me to show how many worldwide exchange IPs there are, but I'm sure it's a very, very large number. To have that 92% on that very large number so quickly is amazing.
Yeah, well, I think there was a web of kind of how many signals Microsoft see in a day that I'd seen a little while ago, and wasn't the number like 5 or 6 trillion signals per day?
Yeah, the security graph's amazing when you look at Microsoft, the ecosystems that they have, and the signals that they receive on a daily basis. Things from like silly things like from your Xbox. My child could be sitting there playing his Xbox, and it's just it's so vast, and it's not all in one channel. And I think that's the beauty of it, is the breadth in terms of where the hacks are coming from and stuff along those, or certain breaches that just really are really kind of, it's amazing in terms of how they quickly pick it up and patch it. So.
Yeah, it's so and on the back of that security, Microsoft have actually released their 3rd Defender Masterclass now, and the beautiful thing about this, and this is only up until the 22nd, if you were to register and complete those learning paths, Microsoft are actually giving away at the moment MS 500 exam vouchers, which is insane. I know that there'll be quite a number of hours attributing to that learning path, because I remember when Ignite released kind of the similar thing, the Ignite Skills Challenge, some of those learning paths were 18, 19 hours long. If you've got that amount of time, by all means, crack on, and get hold of that exam voucher. But I know for me, I might step back from this one because I don't quite have that much time at the moment. So.
And you got till next Wednesday. You got to the 22nd, is it, to do it as well? So so not a huge amount of time. I think it'd be good if we had a bit more time to get these things done. As I say, it's everyone's getting a little bit busier as we're kind of easing out of lockdown slightly. And I think it's I don't think it's given us a huge amount of time. However, it is called a challenge for a reason. So and it's certainly seen on LinkedIn, people are have been completing the Ignite challenges and that. So depends how dedicated you are, Mike, I suppose.
Yeah. Did any of you complete the Ignite challenges?
No, I did have a go. To be fair, I did try for the MS 700, but life took over. That's the best thing to say.
Yeah, I tried, didn't do it. It's, and did you, Martyn?
No, same as Nicola. Life just takes over.
Yeah.
Certainly when you've got 2 small children.
Well, I have no children, just a house. So I'm trying to do well.
Didn't realise you had a house.
Did you not? I'll tell you about it later.
Yeah, we'll leave 10 minutes at the end so Mike can tell you the full story.
Pictures and everything.
So, and then Nicola, I believe Microsoft have released some playbooks, have they not, at the moment?
They have. Which is really nice, because sometimes trying to gather information from Microsoft on certain licensings or SKUs or anything along those lines, it can be a bit of a faff, I would say. And sometimes you can feel like you go around the docs.microsoft, and it feels like if anyone's done like a Wikipedia search where you got to get to a certain word, but you put one word in, it seems a little bit like that. So in terms of this, what Microsoft have done, which is fantastic, is actually release not one but two playbooks. So we've got one on Business Premium, and this takes you literally from ground zero all the way up through deployment, learning. It's got the technical boot camps in there. It's got the sales boot camps. You've got all your enablement tools within there. It's got all of your deployment tools. How do you do it? Checklists. It's amazing. It's like everything you want to know about Business Premium all in one link, and we'll add the link to the bio to this. And they've done also one for Business Voice as well. So again, really, really good stuff coming out of Microsoft when it comes down to this, because essentially it just makes life really easy. And sometimes we don't, from Microsoft, make things very easy for the end user, certainly for partners trying to get some information. It can be a little bit a laborious task, I would say. However, real positive steps when it's come down to this, and certainly the partners that I've spoken to and given this to, they absolutely love it. Case studies, there's literally anything and everything that you want in there. So to be fair, I'm a big champion for it. Well done, Microsoft, on that one.
Yeah, give them a round of applause. And if we can add some effects in there, that'd be great too.
Yeah, my editing skills aren't that good.
And then the Microsoft Viva fundamentals. Now, this isn't a topic that either myself or Nicola are too privy to, but that's why Microsoft have actually brought out the fundamentals for it. They have released a couple of dates for EMEA, so the European region. That is within May. So you'll find out more details around that shortly. Very, very excited to actually take a look at that. That's between May the 11th and the 13th. Day one, we'll kind of look at the pre-sale scenarios of the Viva, Microsoft Viva. With day two, you're kind of looking at technical aspects, and then day three is kind of the insights. So it's a little bit more on the technical piece on there. But very excited to have a little look at them. You can register, and we'll pop that link in as well for you. It's free to actually take part.
And the last update, I think this is from us, is around Teams. So this comes in the new webinar feature, which is now available in Teams. And this has so many features, so you can put polls and forms and anything else within there. And you can actually sign up directly from LinkedIn. So if you put your webinar in LinkedIn and say, hey, come and join us, you can actually sign up directly from LinkedIn, which is great. It's kind of saves you having to go through other platforms or windows to go through. And probably a good one for you, Martyn, is that they're changing it into an immersive experience, but the analytics side. So we can see who's actually been on the webinar, when did they join, how long were they on for. So it kind of gives us real kind of granular detail, and we can take that data and we can use the lovely Dynamics platform for that. So in terms of this, I think it's a really, really good move. Again, this is just another example of how much Teams is moving on. I mean, if we thought about Teams this time last year and look at the functionalities that we've got now in just, things like you raise hand feature, or the fact that you can see many people more, or you can just put one person on the screen, or all these kind of features that we've listed out. It's really good. So in terms of that dynamics piece as well, adding it all in, and it works with that better together message that we were talking about at the start.
I'm curious if that attendance report is going to play a part on Viva fundamentals on Viva as well.
Yeah, I would absolutely. I'd imagine so. Yeah, definitely.
And I think the beautiful thing about these Teams updates that we're bringing, with regards to the webinar features, there's no add-ons needed. They're actually already included in your E3 or E5, your A3 or A5, so the education SKUs, or the business standard and business premium plans as well. I, for one, I've seen the attendance reports. They're really, really exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing the future updates as and when they roll out, and especially with that Dynamics integration as well. I'm not a power user, but certainly getting there. But yeah, I know Martyn will be even more excited to probably get hands on with them.
Yeah, the more Teams updates, the more it seems to become a very powerful one-stop shop platform for any worker, any colleague to use in an organization.
Yeah, it's it is just that massive collaborative tool now, and with it supporting so many different platforms and even third-party apps, you know, it's just growing and growing and growing all the time. And what a powerful platform, you know, that Microsoft have actually got for us to work on off of. So yeah, Teams, I love Teams. There, I've said it.
My name's Michael Markey, and I love Teams.
Yeah, thank you.
Teams t-shirt, is it? Nice bright purple with the logo.
Some sort of exactly.
I think I might have one somewhere. I'll have to try and dig it out, and I'll wear it on the next call.
So next time we'll have to say, by the way, this podcast is not being paid by Teams. I'll take you through some business applications updates from the community call. Some of this will be quite relevant to modern work as well, because a lot of things are tying together now. But the first one is actually quite a big update regarding Business Central. So it's not necessarily on the community call, but it was this week. There was a Business Central launch event. It's part of the reason we held off on recording a little bit is because I knew this was coming. So what's really interesting is Business Central keeps getting massive updates, as do all the applications. But in terms of Business Central, to the fundamental licensing part of it, there seems to be quite some substantial updates to it. And one of that was where the storage plan was announced on there. Now, previously, you'd get 80 gig database storage. Great. That's all. That's on a license. Doesn't matter how many users you have. 80 gig, job done. As of July this year, this starts from July 1st. You still get that 80 gig storage from a base entitlement, but now you'll get additional storage based on however many users you add. So we know Business Central can scale quite easily. It could go from one user, it could go up to hundreds of users. And if you've got hundreds of users, 80 gig becomes quite a small database size quite quickly. One user, 80 gig is plenty. So it didn't really flex in terms of the storage as it did with the users. But now, if you're buying Business Central Essentials licenses, you'll get an additional 2 gigabyte per user. And if you're buying premium licenses, you get an additional 3 gigabyte per user. So automatically, you can see as you're scaling the size of Business Central being implemented in organizations, you're going to get much bigger database to work with. Now, on top of that, previously, I say previously, it's still currently, if you were to purchase additional storage, so if the base and the extra wasn't supported, it wasn't enough for you to use, you could buy extra storage. Hurrah! But that was charged at £40 per gigabyte. $40 rather, which is quite expensive for storage when you compare it with how much Azure per gigabyte would cost you. As of July, that price reduces to $10.
Okay.
So it puts it very, very competitive in pricing there.
Yeah.
That's per gigabyte. If you have a massive organization that's going to have a huge database and you need a bulk of 100 gigabytes, for instance, you can buy. Previously, you'd be able to buy it anyway, but you'd be paying at $40 per gigabyte, so it'd make it $4,000 per gigabyte. Now, to purchase 100 gigabytes, you can purchase that for $500. So it brings that per gigabyte, essentially brings it down to $5 per gigabyte
Is that because they felt like there was being kind of people weren't doing it because it was becoming too expensive?
I'm hoping it's because of partner feedback.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of partners out there that have I'd say moaned about the storage. It's not necessarily moaned. It's having to find third-party solutions to take some of the database storage away from Business Central because it's just not sufficient. And $40 per gigabyte was expensive.
That's a huge saving, isn't it? Considering what it was. I mean, that's a huge leap. All those figures. What
was hilarious was in this launch event, the guy, I forget his name, so apologies if he does listen or anyone knows his name.
I doubt
ping me a message. I'm hopeful. His example, he said, let's have a look at an example where you'd have to pay for additional storage, and he struggled to create an example that would require additional storage based on real examples he's already seen.
Okay.
So what would be sort of the average? I'm going to put you on the spot here. Sorry, I'm going to do a mic now. So what would be your additional storage sort of per Business Central user? I mean, would they go over that ordinarily, or?
On the new model, I can't think of any scenarios where we'd go over storage.
Yeah.
On the old model, we have had examples, but it's few and far between.
Okay.
And it's normally where partners are looking at those third-party solutions then. And
do you think because the drop in the storage capability per user, that some partners might think, oh, I actually need to purchase the storage off the bat, or?
Normally it's a growth issue.
Right,
because Business Central, one of the beauties of it with that scaling, if you're starting from, 7 users, because that's like a very small startup in Business Central. If that business grows, because actually that's what generally happens, businesses grow if they're successful, they start going, I need 20 users now. I need 50 users now. Previously, the database would have been filled up at that 7 user point. When you start getting to your 50 users, your database might be at capacity by then, because this is longer term. This is longer term implementations. This is not right off the bat.
Okay, that's quite interesting. It's
a positive feedback from that, so everyone's happy that already.
Everyone's ecstatic over this. I should point out that wasn't the only thing that came out of this Business Central launch event. To be fair, there is a lot more to it. Things like integration to sales professionals being improved. There's a huge piece about integrating. It already had a great integration for Outlook, but now enhancing the integration to Microsoft Teams, for instance, has become a big thing. And as far as the application goes, there's been enhancements to the application. Things like onboarding, that final setup piece has been enhanced for partners and customers to run through. So, honestly, if you get the time, and Business Central is kind of an interest of yours, have a look at it, because it is very, very useful to know. Bringing us on to more of the community call updates. There's some useful things in there that was talking about Power Portal licensing, and it was detailing some of the internal, external users. It's worth taking a look at that. I haven't got the details to explain to you, because it's actually much more impactful if it's shown on a screen. So I'd suggest looking at the slides for that. But we did talk about on there the views that you get for external users. So Nicola and Mike, I'm guessing you don't know what Power Portals is really, but think of it as a website where external users can log into an application almost. So it gives external access to internal systems with a very limited use.
Okay.
But you can actually get external views as an add-on, because you can't check how many people are logging in or anything, but you can check the views on the page. So if you need more views on the page, there was different tiers to add to your subscription, so you could enable that. And it had 3 tiers. It'd have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 1 and 2, you'd get 100 or 1,000 views per month added on. Tier 3 was 5,000. Now, Tier 3 was only available through CSP at the time, but now they're seeing a lot more uptake with Power Portals, Power Apps portals, and now they're introducing a tier 4 and a tier 5 as well. Now those ones are only going to be for CSP and volume licensing, whereas everything below that is now expanded to all licensing methods. But tier 5, essentially you can go up to an extra 100,000 logins per month. So if you are developing portals and you're considering a very high traffic to these portals, it is going to be great news for you, because that 100,000 per month, essentially per login, you're looking at a cost of $12 per unit, whereas just adding from the tier 1, that 100 views per month, that was $200 per unit essentially. Wow. So that cost scales down very, very quickly the higher up in terms of traffic you're going. One of the key things I took away from the community call was the Wave 1 updates regarding Power Platform. So we're at that time of year where there's a Wave 1 release, new updates and stuff. And if anyone goes on LinkedIn and searches Dynamics, there's probably loads of posts by just Matt Batterby alone on Wave 1 releases. So you can have a look at those. But Power Platform specifically, there's been some good stuff updated on there, and it's worth calling out in terms of Power Apps. They released Power FX, which is that low-code programming language for everyone. We've covered it off on a previous podcast, but it's worth mentioning that as well. That's pretty much live, but it's based in Excel. So Nicola, even you would be able to use some of that language. And I think Nicola's actually gone. So if you're watching YouTube, Nicola hasn't just... Oh no, she's back. I was going to say, you had a really frozen face.
Good old internet. Was it a silly face though?
No,
it'd be the face for the front screen.
But yeah, even Nicola, I think you'd be able to use this Power FX language, because it is Excel. It is Excel essentially. I
don't know what it's saying, to be fair, but I'll take it.
Just nod and wave.
Yeah.
Thanks.
There's been some enhancements to the data loss policies and stuff for Power Platform as well. Really good control on there. One of the things I'm excited about, because I am a bit of a data geek, is the Power BI Premium per user. I'll get it out there before Nicola tells everyone I'm a data geek.
Not saying a word, Martyn.
Previously, you've had Power BI Pro, which is licensed per user, and Power BI Pro, great, create your reports, share your reports with other people who've got Pro licenses. Awesome. And that was quite a nice, cheap license. Then you had Power BI Premium, which is much more at the enterprise scale, allowing external access and enhancing your performance on there. And that was charged per node, and it was something like £3,500 for a node, which very expensive. There was a gap in the middle where you kind of want some of your premium performance, but you can't get it unless you pay for a whole node.
Yeah.
So actually, there's a Power BI Premium per user now, which is charged at, I haven't even got the price in front of me, I believe it's $20 per month. And if you've got an E5 license, an M365 E5, I think you get a reduction to $10 per month.
Okay.
It's a lot of transition to Power BI at the moment. I've seen a lot of people really taking on data, and the Power BI really seems to be a lot more conversation, a lot more noise around it. I think it's always something that people have always wanted to do, but been probably slightly scared about doing and trying to get it done. But I think this makes it more attainable to that middle piece.
Yeah. And thinking of that better together messaging, it's all about integrating things like analytics into Teams. And when I say Teams, I don't just mean Teams, the application. I do mean that, but I also mean within Teams, like sales teams and stuff. You could have Team A are performing at 100%, and they've got their own dashboard to show all the individuals. And Team B are performing at 80%, and they'll have their own dashboard for that, because everyone's going to want to look at different things within these dashboards. And Power BI will give that capability and embed straight to Teams, so you don't have to go searching, where did I bookmark that report?
Yep.
And the last sort of Wave 1 update was talking about Power Automate as well. So you may remember on previous podcasts, we talked about Power Automate Desktop coming to Windows 10.
Yeah.
So that's coming. It's worth reiterating again. That's coming. It is going to be massive. Well, Microsoft have predicted automation is going to be massive this year. I think it helps that they're offering that free.
Wow, okay.
If you want something to be massive, make it free. So Power Automate Desktop is going to be free. It's an attended mode, so you literally click and it plays through. For those of us who played around with Excel, it's kind of like your macros. That's the easiest way I remember it.
Okay.
But the key thing for partners to remember is that's not any of your cloud tasks. It's not an unattended automation. So if you've got business cases where you need to automate tasks that are involved in the cloud, for instance, I don't know, it could be you've got an invoice dropping into a SharePoint list and you want to automate that to then send out a billing email with that invoice attached to your customer, or it may need approval by someone first. That's a Power Automate that requires a license because it's not a desktop automation. So having these conversations early, embedding that kind of, we're talking about automation in the future, is going to lead to more license sales for Power Automate in the cloud as well. If you'd like to learn more about Power Automate, there is an RPA in a day event that's coming up. We will drop the link into the description underneath. That is going to be held on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of May between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.
RPA meaning?
Robotic process automation. I think.
Okay.
I think
like
someone's going to correct me. But yeah, it's well worth going and having a look at that, because I think that'll be, especially if you think about all the MSPs that are out there, if you want to add value to your end customers, this may be a way to do that. And it'll be a unique proposition, because there's not a piece of software out there that does all of this stuff for your customers, but you are creating that value for your customers.
Yep.
So I thought modern work was going to go on and on for today with all the updates, but it seems like I've have an awful lot.
I've actually forgot something as well.
How dare you?
I know. Well, I know. It just realised that there was one thing that, all I'm going to say is advanced specialisation. So, because obviously we're talking about dynamics, and I'm like, oh yeah, we've got another advanced specialisation, and I completely forgot to mention it. So, so I'm going to mention it now. So the advanced specialization is for Teams. So it's a new one that's just been released from Microsoft. There is 3 metrics that you need to hit. The first one being that you need to be a gold cloud productivity partner. So that's where you have your monthly active usage, or the MAUs, and then you have your accreditations in place. And then it'll be done on things like submitting customer references to review, and then you have to promote a new designation. So there's a few things to go through, but in terms of what we can do, we can send you that information across, or you can just Bing or Edge, whichever one your search engine of choice, aka.ms/advanced specializations. And that'll have them all on there, including the Dynamics ones.
Excellent.
And Azure. I suppose we really should mention Azure. I know he's not here, he can't be bothered, but we should.
He won't listen anyway.
I know he won't. I know, but it feels like I feel better in myself that I've said it.
He'll be sat outside in his garden looking at the snowman.
Possibly.
With no head because it's melted.
I should finish off with the Dynamics stuff as well. So the Wave 1 release on Dynamics, just to give you guys a kind of a very brief headline on some of the things. Sales, for instance, is the application. There's some lovely Teams integration coming along. So it was already pretty good anyway, but they're enhancing the integration, and they're providing conversational intelligence to it. What that looks like, I'm looking forward to finding out. There's also LinkedIn Sales Insights and automated sales tasks being introduced. On customer service, you've got additional things like unified routing being put on there, federated knowledge search, and, funnily enough, Teams integration.
Whoop, whoop.
Hey!
From Commerce,
Teams.
I know Teams is everywhere. from commerce, there's a little bit of talk around the B2b commerce piece now as well. So commerce was generally designed as a B2C element, but actually they're bringing in B2B, enhancing things like the onboarding experience and creating quick order entries from commerce, which is really cool. And you'll remember from the previous podcast, if you're a regular listener, that we talked about intelligent order management as well. So that's new. Just if you want to learn more about that, I'd say go back and listen about it. And then the final bit from me, and I'm curious if you guys had this on your call as well, was about the marketing from Microsoft. It's kind of changing strategies, and it's more focusing on end-to-end experiences over just demand generation. Was that part of? No.
No,
might have been
really.
A small bit then.
Yeah, we had ours was more. No, not really.
Okay.
The marketing piece on ours was to support the hybrid working piece. So there's a 7-week campaign which is ready to go. So you just need to launch that from Digital Marketing Content on Demand.
Mm-hmm.
Does have some better together messaging in there around Dynamics and M365, but really, getting everybody ready, because as a reseller, it's really up to you, the listeners now, those resellers, kind of looking at how you're going to address the hybrid working. Ultimately, you've got your remote solutions nailed down because you've had a good year to practice them. You've got the solutions previous to that, and it's now kind of melting the two together somehow. So yeah,
cool. So I think that brings us to the end, doesn't it?
Are you sure? I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. You seem to like you've had loads to go through. Have you already spoken of Dynamics at the minute? It
was a very busy call. So with that in mind, that brings us on to our piece where we'll say, find us on LinkedIn. We have put our lovely slide with QR codes onto screen. So if you are watching on YouTube, you can connect with us there. You'll notice there's a blank box because Steve doesn't like us. So just connect with us. Ignore Steve. Just connect with us. If you want to ask us any questions, feel free to do so. If there's any topics you'd like us to cover, then also please let us know. And with that, I think we'll say goodbye.
Bye. See you on the next one.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.